Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Just coming up 5:15 on Friday 23rd of December. Looking ahead to games this evening, tomorrow and Boxing Day in Scotland, England and the National League. And just to say, be back next on Tuesday the 27th. Check Twitter for the time. It will probably be in the afternoon. And some of these games in Scotland, some are tonight, some are tomorrow. So do make sure you've got the times right. I just can't put all the times up on here as well. Right, Ross County Rangers, that as we know is tonight. 10-24-66. I've seen Rangers the last twice. Lucky to get away with it against Aberdeen the other night. And were behind against Hibs at home as well. Michael Beale's in charge. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he done okay at Queen's Park Rangers. And I don't know whether you know or not, but he was Stephen Gerrard's assistant at Rangers before Gerrard went to Villa. So, you know, Michael Beale is back here. I do think Rangers will win. I don't think there's anything in the price. Motherwell Kilmarnock 43-24-33. Real tough game to assess. I don't like Motherwell. Won once at home all season. 5 defeats in 7 is not something I like to see. I know they've lost to Celtic, Rangers and Aberdeen by the odd goal, but it doesn't inspire confidence going forward. There's 3/4 of a point in Kilmarnock, but again, trust is a major issue there as far as I'm concerned. But at least if you know you're back in Killy, you're getting bigger price than what they should be. It's a no-bet game for me, I have to say. Celtics and Johnston, 75-18-7. They just seem to get better and better in this division, Celtic. They're going to run away with the title. I'd expect them to steamroller St Johnstone. But at 8-1 you can keep it. There's plenty in St Johnstone, but at 7% it's not something which you can warrant involvement, I'm afraid. St Mirren Aberdeen 36-24-40. There's a bit in each of these which, again, as I always say, sort of lends itself to the draw. The Dons will be cock-a-hoop after... not cock-a-hoop. They'll be extremely down after that result the other night. They were leading Rangers up until something like the 93rd minute, and Rangers come back and scored twice. They'll want to get that out of their system as quick as possible. If I had to have a bet here, it would be on Aberdeen, but it would be minuscule. Dundee United Hearts 32-25-43. I think bookmakers have got this one dead right again, and this is another game I can see finishing in a draw. I don't trust Dundee United. I don't trust Hearts on the road. Hibernian Livingston 55-23-22. Tiny bit in Hibs. As I say, performed admirably at Rangers the other night. I did see that game. I've seen both Rangers games over the last week. Hibs are up to winning this. Livingston, they can be a real frustrating side. They're a tough nut to crack, but if forced, I would have to play Hibs. Not that I'm having a bet in that game or in any game in the Scottish Premiership tonight and tomorrow. I think it's extremely tough, and anything that's favourable on ratings is poor on value. That is probably the most favourable bet there. And there's 0.03 in it, so it's not really enough for involvement, is it, sadly? Let's go on then to the Scottish Championship. I think this is a much more favourable coupon. I have to say, we'll go through it. Arbroath Queen's Park 28-24-48. I think Queen should be a lot shorter than the 6-4 they are. I think I make them 11-10 shots. Arbroath, poor side. I don't think it'll be easy for Queen's Park, but I think Owen Coyle's doing an okay job there. He was somebody that after that spell at Ross County, it was something like he had an 18% win ratio. I sort of put a line through him to forget him really as a football manager, but he's rebuilding himself here with Queen's Park, and he's doing a good job. I thought they would really struggle this season, Queens, but it's one I've got wrong. I get things wrong as much as the next person, but they're a decent side, Queen's Park. 4 wins from 8 on the road is decent form. And as I say, I think there's with 0.4 in it. I think that's quite tidy. Air Dundee, I can't split this. 38, 24, 38, and again, there's nothing in the prices. If I had to play, I would probably just side with Dundee. Reason being is I just think that if you look at the recent form, I think they've won 5 of the last 8 or something. The other 3 have been draws. They've not lost a game for a wee while now, and I just think that it's taken a while, but they're getting there, and I do expect them to win this division when all's said and done. I think they've got by far the best squad. I just think it's taken the manager a wee while to get on top of things, but you know, recent form, wins at Partick, wins at Inverness, that's form I like, and that's certainly strong enough to give Ayr a good run, and they do owe Ayr one. They were turned over here 3-1 earlier in the season. Cove Hamilton 55, 23, 22. This should be odds on. Can't understand why it isn't. Hamilton look destined for League One, sadly. Floundering at the bottom of the table. 2-1 is a ridiculous price. I think Cove should be odds on. They're not. They're 6-5. You know, it tells its own story. They're a tough nut to crack at Balmoral. They ought to be beating Hamilton, really. Partick Inverness 50, 25, 25. Don't fully trust Partick yet. They had a horrific run, didn't they? They lost, I think, 6 in 7 games or something. And the only win they picked up was away at Hamilton. But they've got the wheels back on lately. They turned over Arbroath and Ayr here, drew away at Cove. Inverness is such a difficult side to get a handle on. They're a real streak side. If you look back at them early in the season, they won 5 in a row. They won at Dundee, Ayr, Cove, Wraith, and then since then the wheels have just completely come off. They've not won for a while. They lost at home to Hamilton. Been turned over at Morton, Queen's Park. It's not form. You know that. I don't trust either of these two sides really at the moment. Partick are capable of sticking in a real stinker, and as I say, Inverness, just can't trust them. Wraith Morton 38, 24, 38. I struggle to split these sides on figures, but the prices to me 5-4 Wraith is just absolutely ridiculous. Couldn't turn over our Arbroath here last time out, and they're playing a Morton side that's lost twice on the road all season. Yeah, Morton were turned over here early on in the season, but that was when they were at their unpredictable best. But recent form from the ton, they've won 6 out the last 9, the other 3 they've drawn. They've won at Queen's Park and Cove recently, they've won at Inverness too, draws at Dundee. That's more than good enough to see off Wraith. 9-4 I think is an insult. I really do. Right, let's go on to League One then. Clyde Alloa 25, 25, 50. Another side I don't think warrant being odds on. 9 road trips, 2 wins, so they've won twice in 9 on the road. Doesn't make them odds on. I don't care where Clyde are in the league. We know Clyde aren't a great side, but Alloa aren't trustworthy on the road. I think if you're taking odds on for a side that's won twice from 9 on the road, I don't think that's very good value indeed. There's nothing in the game. I'm not trying to steer you towards Clyde because I just wouldn't back them, but I certainly wouldn't be rowing in back in the Wasps on the road at odds on. They're not an odds on team to trust away from home. Falkirk Queen of the South 50, 24, 26. Again, nothing in this game. I do think that Falkirk probably should be winning this, but Queen of the South, they're one of those sides, aren't they? We know they're capable. Wouldn't surprise me if they rocked up here and won 3-1 or something. Form, yes, it points to Falkirk, but Queens are just a side that I don't like to have involvement in their games, put it that way. Montrose Airdrie 50, 25, 25. Montrose should be evens for this, little doubt about that. They're decent here at Links Park. Airdrie's road form is poor. They've won 2 from 9. The only sides they've beaten on the road are Clyde and Peterhead, the bottom 2. 7-4 to win at Montrose, not for me. I'm not saying Montrose are going to steamroller them, but Montrose got a 5-3-1 home record, and I think that warrants them being even money for this team, for this game, against an Airdrie side which I think is poor away from home. Kelty Dunfermline 33, 25, 42. I think there's a smidge in Kelty. Yes, Dunfermline favourites, rightly so on my book too, but I don't think they should be as short as what they are. Kelty are a tough nut to crack here. There's no getting away from that. They've won 5 from 9, only lost twice here. One of those losses was the opening day of the season, and the other loss was to Montrose, who are a real tough nut to crack, as we know. Kelty have beaten Falkirk, Airdrie, Queen of the South here, etc. It was a 0-0 draw here earlier on in the season when Kelty were half the side they are now. I can see Kelty winning. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but wouldn't surprise me if Kelty won this one. Edinburgh Peterhead 60-25-15. Edinburgh should win. It's not for me. I think the price is far too short. I don't fully trust them. They won 5 from 9 at home, but they're still a team where I think the wheels are capable of coming off. I'm not saying they're going to come off against Peterhead, because Peterhead are probably just about the poorest side in the division. Them or Clyde, and they've not won on the road all season. They've only won 1 game all season. It's just a question of whether you trust Edinburgh, but 4-9, not for me. Right, let's quickly fly through League 2. 4 games here. Annan Albion 50-25-25. This was odds against earlier in the week. It's been heavily punted today. Annan, I wouldn't want to be taking 8-11 for them. I really, really wouldn't. The one thing that you know with Albion Rovers is they are going to fight like buggery. And Annan have won twice from 7 games all season here at home. They've not won, I think, since September. They beat Forfar. That was their last home win. They beat Steny, second game of the season, and Forfar just after that. They've not won at home since. I'm not saying they're not going to win this game against Albion because they are rated to, but it's more of the fact that of the price. There is absolutely no way on earth this should be 8-11. Ridiculous. Half a point in Albion if you fancy them. Bonnyrigg Stranraer 35-25-40. Again, nothing here. I think Bonnyrigg are the worst side in the division. There was a massive fuss about them at the start of the season, and I said to you they will be lucky to stay up. That's what I heard at the start of the season, and I still think that that's going to be the case. I think they'll do well to stay up this season, Bonnyrigg. The only thing that's going for them in this game is Stranraer have yet to win on the road all season. They've played 7, lost 5, drawn 2. It's a game to swerve, isn't it, really? Elgin Stirling 36-25-40. There's half a point in Elgin. I'm not saying it's bordering on being enough as far as I'm concerned. Home form is played 8, won 4, drawn 1, lost 3. The defeats have been against Forfar, Dumbarton and East Fife. Now, if you take those 3 teams in isolation, East Fife are probably one of the toughest teams on the road in this season at home to beat. They're not very good at Bayview, East Fife, but when they go away from home, they are a different animal. They lost at home to Forfar. I've said all season how good they are, and they are starting to show that now. And the other home defeat was to top of the table Dumbarton. So you could probably argue that Elgin's 3 home defeats have come against the 3 best clubs in the league. I wouldn't be taking 11-10 on Stirling now. I'm not saying Stirling aren't going to win. I just think that the price is way too short. They've played 8 on the road. They've won 4. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Dumbarton East Fife 50-24-26. You just heard what I've said about East Fife. They're a tough nut to crack on the road. Don't know what to make of this game, really. They've played 8 away, won 4, lost 1. East Fife. They've only lost 1 game on the road, and that was away at Stirling. Yes, I think Dumbarton should be favourites, but I think they don't deserve to be odds on for this. There's nothing in the game anyway, is there? But that's it for Scottish. Let's go on to England. Right, let's go on to League One. Before we go on to League One, just quickly touch on one bet I'm having in the Premiership. I'll give you that here. It's in the game Boxing Day. I think it's the late kickoff. It's between Arsenal and West Ham. I've little doubt Arsenal win the game, but I'm going to be backing. I'm having a point on Arsenal half-time and full-time. They're They're usually out the traps quick at home, the Gunners. I think they've been in front 9 times at home. 9 times at half-time so far this season. I stand corrected if that's wrong. I've not got the figures in front of me. And West Ham have been behind 8 times, I think, at half-time. Again, I stand corrected, but I just don't have the figures in front of me. What I'm trying to say is I'm having a point on Arsenal half-time, full-time. I think they'll be out the traps early, and I have little doubt that they'll win the game. I think West Ham aren't a great side this season. And while we're talking about the Premiership, interestingly, the other day, yesterday I think it was, there's something which I had been sort of chewing over for a week, and that was Aston Villa to finish in the top half of the Premier League. I made it a 6-4 shot. Sporting Life put it up yesterday at 15-8. Now, I'm not going to back it yet, and the reason I'm not going to back it yet because Villa have got a couple of tough games coming up. They've got Liverpool at home, Tottenham away. I don't really see them getting anything from that, so I would expect that price to drift. But Unai Emery is a manager I've got an awful lot of time for. I said many times I think he got a real rough deal at Arsenal. I think there was a player there, I'm not going to mention any names, that caused all sorts of problems, and when Mikel Arteta come in, he booted him out straight away. But sadly, Emery carried the can for him at Arsenal, and I think Villa are a decent side. They got a fairly friendly set of fixtures coming up after that Liverpool and Tottenham game, and I can see them going the right way under Emery, and I think that 15-8 for them to be top half of the table is value. My problem is I make it 6-4, and it's tying my money up for half a season for just over a third of a point. Whereas I think if the results go the way I would expect them to go against Liverpool and Tottenham, we could get 9-4, maybe near a 5-2, and then it becomes a bit more of a value bet. But it's certainly a bet I've got in mind. That's Aston Villa to finish top half of the Premier League. But if results go the way I expect them to against Liverpool and Tottenham, I can see Villa drifting, and then it could be a bet that's worth having. It's just one I was chewing over, and it just surprised me when I see it was on the Sporting Life website yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And with regards to the Premier League, it's been a really funny time, hasn't it, up until the World Cup? But I think that you'll see the sort of bigger and better sides now going the right way. I'm not so sure Newcastle will stay in the top 4. I think the top 4, I think there's 2 sides which are away and gone. City, Arsenal. And then I think there's 3 teams fighting out the other 2 places, aren't there? Liverpool, Tottenham, Manchester United possibly. Don't see Chelsea at the moment. It's going to take a massive a turnaround of form there. But anyway, that's just, that Aston Villa bet, just bear that in mind. And as I say, I think they play Tottenham New Year's Day. I'm not sure you'll have to. I think it's Liverpool Boxing Day, then it's Tottenham New Year's Day. I think. I'm sure it's that way round. And as I say, it could be something that's worth an interest there. But I just didn't want to tie my money up for half a season for a third of the point. But if I'm getting sort of 3/4 of a point, maybe a whole point, it becomes a bit of a worthwhile bet then, doesn't it? Right, let's go on to League One. Accrington, Barnsley, enough of that waffle. 30-23-47. Team here with a distinct class barrier. Accrington at home. They've won twice, lost 4, drawn 4. The losses have been against 4 teams in the top 6. Barnsley are 4th, so I would expect Barnsley to probably win this. Against the sort of bottom half, Barnsley have won every game on the road bar one, where they were turned over at Morecambe, which was strange, but there we go. It's 0.1 in Barnsley. If it's enough for you, then it's a bet. Burton, Lincoln, 40-25-35. Not so sure about this. Burton have won twice. They've beaten 17th place Cheltenham, 21st place Forest Green. 14th place Lincoln come here. Lincoln have won 4 from 10 on the road. The frustrating thing with Lincoln, they've won at Ipswich and Barnsley and Bristol Rovers, who are 2nd, 4th and 9th. But they've lost to 20th place Cambridge, 11th place Shrewsbury, 12th place Port Vale. If the proper Lincoln does turn up, they'll win this. I think Burton are way too short at that price, but we shall see. Cambridge Shrewsbury 36-24-40. I thought there was a smidgen. Shrewsbury 0.2. They're not too bad on the road. They've won 3 from 10 and they've won 2 from 4 against teams in that bottom cluster where Cambridge sit. Cambridge started off well, as we know, but they've slipped to 20th. But they're still okay at home. They've, the bottom half at home, they've won 4, lost 2. So I think they're certainly capable of putting up a fight. Charlton Peterborough 44-24-32. I think Charlton represent a bit of value, which might seem mad looking at their recent form, but when I talk about teams with a class barrier, this is a complete polar opposite, because Charlton have beaten Plymouth, Ipswich, Derby, Portsmouth here, are all in the top 10. They've not beaten a side in this division 14th or below, home or away. They're capable of beating the top sides, but they don't seem to be able to see off the teams towards the bottom. Puts me in mind of Tottenham Hotspur a few years ago. They're a side that are capable of beating the top boys, but used to lose at home to Burnley and West Brom and teams like that. And Charlton are doing this in League One. Peterborough are an awful side on the road. They've played 11, won 3, lost 8. They've lost every away game they've played to teams in the top half of the table. I know Charlton are 18th, but they are a top half table side. A couple of victories over those teams which I mentioned towards the bottom, and they'd be in the top 10. I think there's a bit of value in Charlton. It's entirely up to you how you see it. Cheltenham Plymouth 30-25-45. I agree Plymouth should be favourites. Cheltenham, they're not the easiest side to beat here. They've lost 4 from 10. They've beaten Bolton and Wickham here, who are in the top 7. Whereas Plymouth, I'm not convinced. I was talking to someone about this the other week. I think the 2 teams in this division are Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich. And if I had to play on the outrights here, I'd be playing Sheffield Wednesday, because I just don't see this lasting at Plymouth. And the reason I don't see it lasting at Plymouth, I'll just touch on this quickly, is they've not played any of the top 5 teams on the road. Okay, Plymouth, they've played all the top boys at home and some of the lower ones, but most of the away games have been for a team sort of 14th or below. They've got to go to Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Barnsley, Bolton, Peterborough. They're going to be real tough places to go. Whereas I think if you look at Sheffield Wednesday, they've been at Plymouth, they've won at Bolton, drawn at Derby. Ipswich, again, they've been at Plymouth, been at Sheffield Wednesday, not been to Barnsley or Bolton. And I just don't trust Ipswich anyway. But just from an outright point of view, I think it's a 2-horse race between Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday. And I thought on the outrights, the value certainly lies with Sheffield Wednesday. Exeter against Portsmouth, 42-23-35. I think there's a bit in Exeter. The wheels are off at Portsmouth. I think the time's up for the Cowleys. The grapevine tells me that. Unhappy dressing room, not beating a top 7 side home or away. Not won for a while. Dire football. There's a bit in Exeter. Could well be the last game for those chaps. I think the wheels are off. Fleetwood Sheffield Wednesday 28-24-48. As much as I was just raving about Sheffield Wednesday, I don't see what warrants them going in 3-4 odds on against a Fleetwood side that's lost 3 games here all season. They were good enough to draw with Derby and Wickham here and beat Plymouth. Why Sheffield Wednesday warrant being odds on for this, I don't know. I know Wednesday are decent on the road. But this Fleetwood side has got something about them. He's a really, really good manager, Scott Brown. There's a 1.5 in it at 28%. I'm not going to put you off that. Ipswich Oxford 57-24-19. Again, I don't trust Ipswich. Very sad story. I'll tell you just quickly the other week. When I gave out the members' bets, I had one member, and I even flagged it up on this video when I said about how untrustworthy Ipswich are at home. 4s on they were at home to Fleetwood. I said do not touch it. I actually backed Fleetwood that day, but I had a member of mine put up all the members' bets, and he put the members' bets in with Ipswich as a banker. So every single bet he had that weekend lost. Really, really frustrating. Why would you want to back a team at 1-4? I just don't understand it. No team warrants being 4s on. Sorry, you can't win doing that. Really sad story. He did ask me to share it, and so I have. MK Dons Forest Green 55-23-23. I think it's a smidging MK Dons. I think they're a team that's in a bit of a false position. I'm not saying they're going to tear it up or anything like that, but they're third from bottom. But if you look at their home form, they've played 7 of the top 9 at home. So they've had a real rough set of home fixtures. Outside of that, they've only lost once, and that was to Fleetwood, and we know how stubborn they are. I think they'll beat Forest Green. It's not enough in it, is there really? But I just be careful of over. How can I say it? If you look at MK Dons' league positioning, they're third from bottom. Don't just take that literally, because, as I say, aside from that top 9, they've only lost once at home here. And if you look at their away form, away from the top 9, they've actually won 4 games from 8. So they're averaging a 50% strike rate on the road away to teams outside the top 9. So they're a team which I would expect to sort of climb up to 15th, 16th over this second half of the season if they continue to perform like they have done. So that's where you can get sort of a bit misled by looking at the league table and seeing a side who are third bottom. Always check what teams they've played and what position those teams are. Port Vale Morecambe 60-24-16. I was all geared up to back this. I thought this, we might get a bit here, but we're not. Port Vale, again, classic class team. They sit in 12th place. They've played 5 teams below them at home, won 3, drawn 2. I think they'll stuff Morecambe. Morecambe's road form is played 11, drawn 1, lost 6, and it's not like they've just lost to the top clubs. They've lost to Accrington, who are 19th, Lincoln 14th, Cheltenham 17th, etc. They're not a good side. Port Vale should be winning. Sadly, there's nothing in the price. Wycombe Bristol Rovers 42-25-33. I can see why bookmakers make Wycombe favourites. I'm not so sure they should be as short as what the 11-10 they are. They've played 11 games at home. They've won 5 of them. They've been lost here to Shrewsbury, Cambridge. Morecambe got a point here. And they're playing a Bristol Rovers side who... They're a team, aren't they, Bristol Rovers, that just complete unpredictable. They've not got a great record on the road against teams in the top 10. I will say that. They've drawn 2, lost 3. Wouldn't surprise me, though, if they put the skids under Wycombe Monday. I'm not saying they will, but just wouldn't surprise me. Bolton Derby 40-24-36. 2 teams battling out, I think, for playoffs only. I can't see any of these 2 reaching the automatic spots now. Won 7 from 11 at home. Bolton 2 defeats, Sheffield Wednesday and Oxford. I think that's solid enough form, isn't it? Derby not been great on the road. The only teams they've beaten have been Accrington, Cambridge and MK Dons, 19th, 20th and 22nd. They've not beaten a team on the road above 19th place. Don't see that really changing. But the value is with Derby. But is it a bet for me? Absolutely not. Let's go on to League 2. Right, start with Wimbledon Newport, 48-24-28. I think there's a bit in Wimbledon. I think they should be 11-10, not 13-8. Again, a team sitting 12th place, and I think that's probably where they are. But if you look at their home record to teams below them, they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1. So they've got a 4-1-1 home record against teams below them. I do apologise for that. And Newport, they've only won 3 times on the road. I apologise, but Wimbledon are in red hot form at the moment, and I would expect them to win. Carlisle Bradford 38-24-38. Can't split these on figures, but the prices are wrong. It's as simple as that. Carlisle have not beaten a side above them all season. Well, they've not beaten a side 8th or above. They've won all their games to teams 9th or below, and they've drawn an awful lot of those games as well. And that's what's hamstringing Carlisle this season. Again, if they just turned another couple of those draws into wins, they'd be up on sort of 38 points, be fourth in the table. Whereas I think Bradford 6-1-3 on the road, they've won at Mansfield, Salford, etc., haven't they? They're good enough to get a result here, Bradford, and I think 2-1 there is a smidge in the price. Crawley Sutton, we'll just talk about this game quick. I was supposed to go to Crawley Hartlepool the other Friday. I didn't go because it was absolutely bitter and I felt a bit rough, and I had a game the next day to go to as well. Now, Hartlepool won that game, so I was gutted I missed that, but the manager of Crawley Town is a guy called Matthew Etherington. He used to play on the wing for Tottenham amongst other clubs, and Hartlepool fans told me, people I trust, these aren't what I call casual fans, these are diehards, people that drive down from Hartlepool to Crawley on a Friday to watch their team, and they follow their team all over the place, and what they say to me I take as true. And the way that Crawley set up and played the game under this guy was absolutely laughable, and Hartlepool could have driven a bus through them, that's what I was told, and a better team would have put five or six past Crawley. So make of that what you will. I don't think this guy's a very good manager at all. Now, look, Sutton have won once on the road. Let's just be clear about that. But they've drawn at Northampton, Carlisle, Grimsby, won at Wimbledon. And some of those defeats have only been by the odd goal, and they've had a bit of a rough end of the deal. I think they'll beat Crawley Monday. It's entirely up to you. The form book doesn't say so, and it would be a game to swerve. But based on the information I've got about the Crawley manager, he is hopelessly out of his depth. I'm not going to say that's always going to be the case, and I take no pleasure in digging out, young managers. But this guy doesn't seem to have a lot about him, if what I'm told is true. Gillingham Colchester 42-23-35, game to swerve, 24th at home to 23rd. I don't know where you would look for this. I would probably have to just side with Gillingham. I know the values with Colchester, but for a team that is 0-1-10 on the road, no, I couldn't begin to think about backing Colchester. Gillingham are bottom, but they have won twice at home. They've beaten Sutton and Rochdale, and they have actually held Stevenage, Swindon and Barrow here, top six sides. So I'm just a bit disappointed we couldn't get anything in Gillingham. The values with Colchester, but you couldn't begin to make a case to back them, even with that in it. I mean, this rating is only high because they're so poor as well. So there we go. Harrogate Grimsby 38-24-38. Tough game to assess this. Harrogate, if the Harrogate that's beaten Swindon and Mansfield 3-0 here turns up, they'll win this game. But then you've got a Harrogate that turns up here and loses 4-0 at home to Newport. It really is a tough one to assess. Whereas Grimsby's road form is pretty good. They've won 5 from 10, and all of those 5 wins have been against the bottom half. Their record against 11th or below is 5-0-2. Harrogate fall into that profile of teams. I wouldn't want to touch Grimsby at 6-4 though. Mansfield Northampton 35-24-42. Bookmakers make Mansfield 11-10, Northampton 13-5. How in God's name that they arrive at that figure is mind-boggling. Mansfield have played 10 games at home, won 5, drawn 3, lost 2. They've not beaten a side at home inside the top 10. Their record outside the top 10 is pretty near perfect. They've won 5, drawn 2. Their home form to teams in the top part of the table is 0-1-2. They've only beaten one side on the road in the top 9. That was a 1-0 win away at Barrow. We backed them on the outrights along with Northampton. These are both our outright bets for League 2, but Mansfield are class-wise way below Northampton. If we look at Northampton's road form, they've played 10, won 6, drawn 3, lost 1. They've won at Stevenage, Swindon, Bradford, all in the top 8. They've drawn away 0-0 at top of the table, Leyton Orient. Yet they come here 13-5. They should be favourites for this. Absolutely no question. I make them 11-8. They're 13-5. 11-10. 11 to 10 is an absolute insult of a price. This side has lost one game on the road all season, and they're priced up as no-hopers. Bookmakers have got this wrong. Don't care if Mansfield win this. These are the bets that make you money. These are the bets that you make your money on. Make no mistake about that. That is a mugs bet. Don't care if it wins. Rochdale Hartlepool 50, 24, 26. I think Rochdale should be evens. They're a shade above that. Pains me to say it, but I think Rochdale will win. As I say, that result from Hartlepool the other week was courtesy of an inept manager at Crawley. They won't get that luxury at Rochdale, who have turned over Barrow and Salford here. I would expect Rochdale to win. Salford Barrow 40, 23, 37. Tough game to assess. 3 wins at home all season from Salford doesn't make you want to go out and back them, does it? But then if you look at Barrow's away form, they've won 3 from 10. A game to put a line through, really. Stockport Crew 66, 22, 12. Stockport have got the wheels on. Finally, 2's on. I think they should be for this. I think the prices are right. Crew, 2 wins on the road all season. Don't see them getting anything here. I think Stockport will probably win. Swindon Walsall, 4th plays 11th. 2 teams I like and have backed to both of them a few times. Not so sure on Swindon at home. They've not beaten anybody at home above the top 16. And they've played 5 other clubs 16th or above: Tranmere, Wimbledon, Salford, Northampton and Orient. They've drawn and lost all of those. Well, they've only lost 1, and that was to Northampton. But I wouldn't trust them at 5 to 4 to see off a Walsall side which is in form and certainly capable of getting a result. I just think that there might just be a bit of a class barrier with Walsall's road form. Against the top 8, they've drawn 1, lost 4. Swindon are 4th, but again, like I just say, you counterbalance that with Swindon's home form. That's not great either, so difficult. Tranmere Doncaster 40, 23, 37. Another game like the Northampton one that I think the prices are way out of line. Tranmere haven't won since mid-October. They've won 4 from 10 all season at home. They've only beaten 1 team above them, and that was Barrow, and we know that Barrow aren't great on the road. At home against teams above them, the record is 1-1-4, so they've lost 4 from 6 at home to teams below them. Doncaster are above them. Doncaster are above them, and Doncaster's away form to teams below them is 1-3, drawn 2, lost 2, and yet Doncaster here are over 3 to 1. Please explain that. Leyton Orient against Stevenage, and that's 1.5, not 2.5. Apologies. Leyton Orient Stevenage 50, 25, 25. I'm still debating whether to back Orient at 5 to 4. They've won 9 from 11 at home, and it does all point to them. They're 7 points clear at the top. I do think they're probably going to go on and win this league. Stevenage on the road, not the same side as they are at home. They've only beaten 1 side on the road in the top 10. That was Doncaster. Their other 2 games on the road were against Bradford and Salford, and they lost those. They're not a side which I really trust. I think Orient will probably win. It's 0.25 in it at 50%, which is okay as far as I'm concerned. Right, that's it for England. Let's move on to the National League. I'm having 5 bets here. Prices might have changed. I do apologise. I'm not up on the live prices as I'm doing this, and I've given bets out, and I know that one of them has shortened dramatically. Dorking Eastleigh 44, 24, 32. I don't rate Eastleigh at all on the road. They're a completely different animal to what they are at Silver Lake. They've played 11 on the road. They've lost 8. And it's not like they've just lost to teams in the top section. They've lost to Oldham, Maidenhead, Altrincham, Bromley, or teams sort of mid-table or lower. They're a decent side at home. I mean, at home they're 8-2-2. Away they're 1-2-8. Dorking are a bit of an unpredictable side, but they're more than... I mean, they always find the net a couple of times, don't they? And their home record is 6-2-4. I think bookmakers have got this wrong. I don't think Eastleigh should be anywhere near 11-8. I mean, I make Dorking 5-4, they're 6-4, and that will do for me. National League North, Fylde against Chorley, 55-23-22. You're not going to find that 11-10, sadly. That's gone. I know that's 10-11 pretty much across the board now. Chorley are poor on the road. We know this. I mean, Fylde are our outright selection along with Chorley, funnily enough. But if you look at Chorley, they're in 11th. Their away record to teams above them is drawn 1, lost 4. Fylde are 6th. Games in hand, they're 7-1-1 at home. They lost here to Scarborough. That's their only home defeat, but I still expect Fylde to win the league. Yes, they're 8 points behind Darlington. They've got 5 games in hand, and they have played the top 3 all on the road. Fylde, they've got a top manager now. They've won the last 5. I expect them to thump Chorley Monday, and as I say, I think Fylde will win the title. Darlington Scarborough 60-24-16. They're top at the moment, Darlington. And as I say, I'm convinced Fylde now will go on and do it. But I think Darlington should be seeing off Scarborough. They won 6 from 11 at home. Scarborough on the road, not the sort of same side they are at home, and they do tend to leak goals. I think there's a bit in Darlington. National League South, finally, Hemel Hempstead St Albans are going to the bottom game Monday, 29-23-48. St Albans have done some really, really good turns this season, and I mean their road form is absolutely fantastic to teams sort of 10th or below. Teams 10th or below, they've won 6, drawn 1, lost none. So they've got a 6-1-0 away record to teams 10th or below, and Hemel Hempstead fit into that criteria. And Hemel's record against teams in the top 9 is drawn 2, lost 2. Bookmakers have Hemel in as favourites. I don't see it. Weymouth Taunton 55-24-21. Disaster the other night for Weymouth away at Dulwich. They got a red card, and that done for them. I'm going here Monday, and I am really keyed up because Weymouth had won 4 of the last 5. They won 4, drawn 1 going into that Dulwich game. They got the red card and it done for them. But they'll beat Taunton Monday, I've little doubt about that. Taunton have won 1 in 9 on the road. They've lost at Concord, Slough and Farnborough. Weymouth will show the form that we expect. They're not going to finish anywhere near the playoffs, Weymouth, but I expect them to go shooting up the table over the next 6-8 weeks. And they're better than Taunton Town, little doubt about that. Right, that's it, guys. Best bet, National League is Fylde. I think they'll stuff Chorley. Simple as that. It's a strong bet as far as I'm concerned. And look forward to watching Weymouth beat Taunton Monday, hopefully. And all that's left is to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming on, guys. I hope I've steered you into some nice winners in 2022. And hopefully we can continue it next year. That's it. Have a great Christmas. I'll be back Tuesday. Bye for now.